Contemporary English Bible. Wisdom has built her house with its 7 columns. She has prepared the meat and set out the wine. Her feast is ready. She has sent her servant women to announce her invitation from the highest hills. Everyone who is ignorant or foolish is invited. All of you are welcomed. All of you are welcome to my meat and my wine. If you want to live, give up your foolishness and let understanding guide your steps.
This is a reading from the Apostle Paul's letter to the Ephesians. Therefore, as a prisoner for the Lord, I encourage you to live as people worthy of the call you received from God. Conduct yourselves with all humility, gentleness, and patience. Accept each other with love and make an effort to preserve the unity of the Spirit with the peace that ties you together. You are one body and one Spirit, just as God has called you in one hope. There is one Lord, one faith, one baptism, and one God and Father of all, who is over all, through all, and in all. God's goal is for us to become mature adults, to be fully grown, measured by the standard of the fullness of Christ. As a result, we aren't supposed to be infants any longer who can be tossed and blown around by every wind that comes from teaching, with deceitful scheming and the tricks people play to deliberately mislead others. Instead, by speaking the truth with love, let's grow in every way into Christ, who is the head. The whole body grows from him as it is joined and held together by all the supporting ligaments. The body makes itself grow in that it builds itself up with love as each one does its part. So I'm telling you this, and I insist on it in the Lord. You shouldn't live your life like the Gentiles anymore. They base their lives on pointless thinking. The word of the Lord. How fast can you listen? I have 10 minutes to give you a sense of eternal reality from when the world was without form and void until now and beyond. When modern humans appeared on Earth 300,000 years ago, there weren't two kinds of humans, those who did not believe in God and those who didn't. God is embedded in all of eternal reality, every bit of it, including the physicality and the spirituality of all life forms, including humans. God is infused throughout all of eternal reality, including everything we think, say, and do. To say we each and all are part of God is true. And also God is part of each and all of us. God is eternal, and each of us are eternal. To believe both is spiritually and scientifically accurate. Through the ages, humans, over the course of personal experience and ever-widening worldview, have evolved in perception and understanding of God. Through the ages, some have believed in the concept, but not in the word God. And that's okay. But some have never evolved in their understanding of the word God, and that's not okay. It's okay to be at whatever point in your evolution you may be, as long as your belief is evolving. The best ancient cultures could imagine was God as a separate being that loved and encouraged some and judged and punished or destroyed others. It's the human condition. Everyone wants to be good, and in a world where there is good and evil, everyone wants to be better than someone else. We often sing of peace before us, behind us, beneath us, above us, in us. We sing it, but do we experience it? It isn't something we come to realize in a moment. We evolve into the eternal experience as we grow older and as resistance and fear of the end of human life decreases. We choose to believe the scientific knowledge that nothing ever dies and ceases to exist. Scientific knowledge is nothing ever dies and ceases to exist. It's as simple and fundamental as the water cycle. Water vapor in the atmosphere cools and condenses on a particle of dirt or dust, and it creates a cloud that becomes saturated, releasing water as raindrops, which return to the earth. Water is water in solid, liquid, or vapor form, and not one drop ever dies or ceases to exist, not one drop. This seems to me to be an excellent illustration of evolution. Water vapor evolves for all of eternity. It continuously evolves through the cycle of forms. Water vapor in the atmosphere cools and condenses and falls to earth, where it is absorbed and infused into living organisms, and back to the atmosphere to cool and condense and repeat the cycle over and over. Imagine yourself as a drop in the ocean or moist air all around, which is the stuff breath and blood and sweat and tears is made of. Now imagine yourself evolving through forms from tiny organism to complex human and on to the loving spirit of eternity over and over. Imagine yourself as a drop in the ocean, and breath and blood and sweat and tears, an eternal loving spirit all at once. Imagine yourself as a drop of rain falling gently on a flower in spring. Imagine yourself as a drop in the ocean during a turbulent storm. Imagine yourself as the breath of a baby and as the blood coursing through your own heart and arteries and veins as you work hard to provide for yourself and others to survive and thrive in the world. Human lifetime is just us passing through, created and creating as we go. If we can evolve in our awareness to believe that, we can evolve to imagine God simultaneously as agent of creation, as the process of creation, and as the material, the sum and substance of creation. To have a sense of God infused throughout eternal reality is to begin to sense God embedded in every bit of reality, including the physicality and the spirituality of all life forms, including human. If we have a sense we are each and all part of God, and God is part of each and all of us, it follows that each and all of us are eternal. When imagining self as one drop in the ocean, is it possible to sense self differently from any other drop? Or is it possible to not imagine self as the whole ocean? A decreasing sense of self as separate from the ever-evolving fullness of reality is the spiritual and scientific definition and description of evolution. Is a baby born believing he or she is separate from the family of the world he or she is evolving through? 300,000 years ago, not one modern human appeared on Earth disbelieving he or she was separate from God. Disbelief is an acquired misconception to be unlearned or let go of. To imagine self as moisture in the atmosphere, in your breath, in your blood and sweat and tears, is to imagine evolving through eternal reality. Imagine self as a drop in the ocean and as the ocean. Imagine everyone else in the same way. Jesus is the human experience of evolution. Jesus on earth was God in human form. God is the ocean. Jesus was moisture in the earth's atmosphere. To the extent Jesus was a drop in the ocean, so is everyone. And God is the ocean in each drop. You and I and everyone are in God, and God is in you and I and everyone.
Thank you, Ed, for those words to ponder. Let us sing a closing hymn.